Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my Formula 1 2020 My Career Mode, as we're about to head into round 10 of the season. France, it should be a fun race. Obviously we've had some great success in the last couple of races, and nice to keep the momentum going a bit, but you never know what can happen in this day and age. We are looking at possibly having a very wet race, which again could play into our advantage a little bit. We could get a bit lucky there if it does prove to be wet for the race, because we do seem to be a bit of a wet weather master at the minute. Obviously the Paul Ricard circuit. There's Casual Stroll in his pink Mercedes.
We're going to be logging some extra data during this session. Nothing you need to worry about, but as we have some new parts, we'll just confirm they're performing to spec.
That's nice to know, Jeff. Thank you for that.
I know it's tempting to focus entirely on the race, but we should put a bit of time aside to run the qualifying sim program. Try to run it before the end of FP3 if you can.
I will try that, Jeff. So far I'm focusing on doing my other practice programs in practice 1. Track acclimatization, tyre management, fuel management and ERS management. Tick all those off, get those done in practice 1. And then in practice 2, we'll do the race strategy and qualifying pace.
Fastest lap is a 1 minute 33.5.
So we'll probably end up topping the timesheets in practice 2, because obviously I'll be doing my qualifying sim, which means hopefully I'll be pretty quick.
It's time to remind ourselves of our top 3, who are Ocon, Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. And that's it, practice is officially over. Until next time, goodbye.
So yeah, decent first practice, getting them research points acquired.
Good day today. Let's have your take on it.
Problem is the races are coming thick and fast.
In front of their home crowd. There's quite a buzz around this team at the moment. What are your thoughts on them?
Again, asking stupid questions that don't apply to me really, but I have to answer them. I wish Codemasters could improve the interview system to make it actually a bit more relevant to you. Because some of the questions she comes up with are just freaking stupid. But anyway, I lost my train of thought there. I forgot what I was saying before I got interrupted by her. So we'll move on to practice 2. I think it was something about the races are coming that thick and fast at the minute that we're not actually able to get enough development time in between races to actually make the new parts. We've got a lot of parts currently building, but it's going to be a while before we see them and get to equip them. And even though I'm earning more and more research points at every race, it's getting to the point where I can't really spend them because I'm still waiting for stuff to finish building. And my teams can't develop enough parts simultaneously at the moment. But yeah, all practice programs are completed. Grosjean is nearly last. I am top of the timesheet as I kind of expected I would be in practice 2, doing my qualifying sim. So all is good. Going to be moving on to doing the practice 3, which obviously I skip because there's no point running practice 3, and just wearing out your race
gearbox. Drawn to a close, so let's review our top 3: Schumacher, Vettel and Sergio Perez. Sadly, it's time to say goodbye as free practice is over. However, we'll be back shortly for more Formula 1 action.
go, resource points. So what's that, 975 points added to our total. Very nice. I moved up a little bit in my acclaim. Again, got one eye on the contract renewals, which will coming up pretty soon. However, I think there is this race and I think Austria before the contract renewal. So, still a little bit of time to try and get that acclaim up even higher and make ourselves more valuable. So we're going to go into qualifying now. And I don't think we're going to do anything crazy. There's not a lot of point doing anything too crazy. Like I say, the weather forecast is that it's going to rain for the race, so there's not really much point doing a lot of strategy in qualifying. But I'll probably still run Q2 on the mediums because I'm an idiot. And forget that I won't be starting on those tyres. Soft tyres it is, boys. Parc Fermé regulations are in place. Let's get out there and do this. So Q1. And let's go. Let's start our Q1 flying lap. Track limits. Ooh. The stewards are going to be on one today, I think. This weekend. They tend to be quite strict around here as far as track limits go. And in the rain, they're going to be even worse because they're always worse in the rain as well. And across the line, post a nice time, 129.7.
Well done.
That's good enough for the moment. It's good enough at the moment as we finish Q1. Yeah, I'm quite surprised to see us fastest at the top of Q1. Maybe the other teams are just sandbagging a little bit. We'll wait and see. But I'll tell you what, this car is surprisingly fast. When you're running the max fuel setting in the qualifying and you're using the hot lap ERS mode for qualifying, this car is actually this car is quite a beast. This Ferrari engine is quite a beast. And it does make us a lot quicker than we are in the race, which kind of makes it sometimes a little bit difficult in the race because we're kind of out of place compared to some teams. Certainly the Mercedes. Why we usually end up trying to fight them at the start of the race while we're trying to fight to keep them behind us. Because in race trim, the Mercedes are just phenomenal. No one can match them. You can't live with the Mercedes. But yeah, I have come out for Q2 on the medium tyres. Even though we're not going to be using these in the race. Or even starting on them in the race. Because it's going to be wet. Got really deep into that corner. Take this bend flat. No lift. And there we go. Q2. Lap time about to be posted on the board. 1:29.5. And Ricardo is probably going to get dropped. Again, keeping my eye on my current rival. Roman's in 5th, which is nice to see. Yeah. So the two Mercedes boys, 2nd and 3rd, followed by Perez, Vettel. Oh, tell you what, Ricardo not qualifying very well is a bonus to me, because that means yet again I'm just walking away with the rivalry. Finally, final session, Q3. Let's do this. Come on. Speeds climbing. 210, 211, 212 miles an hour. Wow. It's a shame we don't have that option in the race. To be that fast. Oh, that was a bad corner. Took that all wrong. But here we go. Coming up to the line.
Less than a lap of fuel now. The tank is empty.
And 1:29.5 again. So actually, it wasn't that much quicker than I was on the softs, on the medium tyres in Q2. I mean, I know that I did have a bit of a scruffy corner or two in that run, but it's good enough to put me on pole by 8/100ths of a second. 8/100ths separating me from Lewis and Bottas and everyone else.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top 3: Schumacher, Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Okie dokie, Jeff. Crofty. Crofty. It's not Jeff.
Fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy.
Yeah, it was alright.
Looks like you had a great qualifying session. It must be a relief being that far up the grid.
Just happy to be meeting my team's expectations.
Do you feel that your teammate put on a good show for the home crowd? Great. Well, that's everything.
That's everything. Yeah, again, pointless freaking questions. Danny Rick's been whooped again in qualifying. Tell you what, it's almost a non-event this. 4 races remaining. Am I going to need 4 races to beat him? Do you think? Or will I beat him before the 4 races are up? That is the question.
Alright, I think we can call that a successful qualifying. We should be in with a good chance in the race.
And it's pouring with rain. It's pouring with the rain. Don't need to change any engine parts or anything. All looking good.
Here we are once more at the Le Castellet circuit for another round of this year's Formula One World Championship. Renault took their first French Grand Prix win all the way back in the inaugural race in 1906, but it was another 73 years before they could take their second. So they'll be pushing hard to delight the local fans here today. We have 15 corners here at the circuit Paul Ricard, 6 to the left and 9 to the right. The rain is coming down and making for a slippery racing surface, but luckily there is plenty of runoff available, and hopefully we'll be able to avoid bringing out a safety car during today's Grand Prix. And with me as usual is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Schumacher. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Schumacher lines up on pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Bottas, Verstappen, Charles Leclerc and Vettel, Perez, Grosjean, Sainz and Pierre Gasly, Ocon, Stroll, Daniel Kvyat and Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Norris, Antonio Giovinazzi, and
Why is
George
Norris
Russell,
so bad
Latifi,
in
and
this game?
Alexander Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
Compared to Sainz, who qualifies always in the top 10, Lando is
After
quite
the points
woeful.
finished last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
He wants us to do a 2-stop race, does he? Right, okay. Inters, right, we're on the Inters, are we? Okay. Joyce? Don't mess with any. We are going to change the diff. I'm going to put the diff up because it's wet. That's one good thing we can do before the race start, which saves me having to play around on the menu screen, the MFD. Because you don't want to be messing around on the MFD. Right. Looks like a fairly decent start. I've just got to watch it a little bit in these first couple of corners. Try and find where my braking points are, because they're not where the markers tell you. or where the racing line tells you. Because if you brake where that does, you're braking way too early. See track limits, so here we go again. Look, the race stewards are way stricter on track limits in wet than they are in the dry. Where you drive normally in the dry, you can't drive in the wet. And that's going to take some getting used to.
Alright, we're looking good
Could
so
be a
far.
lot of cars picking up penalties in this race if they're not careful. If they get caught out by that. So I slowed down way too much there. Off circuit, I'm off circuit. Oh, Lewis. Bit of wheel-to-wheel racing there. We've managed to keep the Mercedes behind. And amazingly, Hamilton set the fastest lap of the race.
Let's use overtake and burn some of this energy.
We're going. Got some speed there. I'm using the overtake, Jeff, like you told me. Surprised we're not on the full wets though, I'll be honest. With the amount of rain that's coming down and how wet this track is, why are we not starting on the blue tyres for this race? That kind of surprises me a little bit. I briefly set the fastest lap and then Bottas set the fastest lap. So right now we're all pretty evenly paced and evenly matched. Billy Bottas is right up behind me. So Bottas has actually overtaken Hamilton. And there's another warning for track limits. I'm going to have to watch that. I do not want to pick up any time penalties. But the stewards, seriously, why do they get so much more stricter in the wet when mistakes can be made? Billy Bottas briefly got his nose in front. I managed to keep him behind. Ah, super deep in there. It's giving Bottas a bit of a run. Side by side.
Gap to teammate behind is 2.4 seconds.
That Mercedes leaping and crawling around all behind me. So bad.
The The energy store is getting worn, reducing our overall capacity. The more charge you hold, the faster that capacity will drop.
So if I hold too much charge, we're going to actually do more damage to our energy cell. So I need to be using the energy all the time to stop it from reaching capacity. Seems a bit strange, but we'll try to do what Jeff says. Means I might have to fit new parts, because the energy cell is obviously something that we haven't been able to do any durability upgrades to, because it's at the top of the durability tree. But I believe we're only on our first unit, aren't we? We've used the first cell basically for all these races, all 10 races so far, all the practices, all the qualifyings, that and the control electronics. Those are the only original parts that we're still racing with.
Good job.
Everything else we're on our second
lap of the
unit.
race so far.
So potentially we could throw in the second units of those now. We're almost at the halfway point of the season, don't forget. So I could still use the slightly worn and knackered parts in practice, and then use the new one in the race, and just limit that to the race, qualifying and race, which will help protect it in those, in the final half of the season. And again, save us from having to take any engine penalties. Or grid penalties, should I say. Nice train of cars behind me.
Fuel is looking really good. You're managing it well.
That's because I took so many extra laps at the start and I haven't really changed it, Jeff. I've been running rich mix this whole time. Oh! Mercedes tried to have a go there. I think Verstappen's had an issue. Verstappen is out of the race.
The
Virtual safety car has been deployed.
Okay, slow down, slow down. Your delta is negative, which means you are too fast. Reduce your pace.
I just noticed as we went into that corner there, as I was busy defending from Hamilton, I noticed Verstappen just suddenly disappeared off the timesheets. So he must have had a bit of a collision with either Bottas or Leclerc. Heading into that corner, he must have gone for a bit of a lunge, and it didn't work out for him. But hey, it's a virtual safety car, it's not a full safety car.
VSC ending, we're going green. Maintain positive delta until the green flag.
Still not very good at driving to the delta.
The track is clear. Green flag.
Go, go, go. 2 Mercedes, 2 Ferraris, all in a train behind me. It's a good job there's no DRS in the wet. Because I would not have been able to help them off.
Laps, and we'll be putting you on the intermediate tyres.
I would not have been able to hold them off if they had DRS. Oh, Hamilton's just hit me.
Right, some information on Hamilton. They've got a serious car issue. It looks like they're retiring.
Yeah, he's just hit me.
Caution, caution. The virtual safety car is out. Reduce speed and maintain a positive delta.
So Hamilton's out of the race, and we've got another virtual safety car situation.
Drop your speed. Our delta is too low and we risk a penalty. Slow your pace immediately.
So why on earth did Lewis hit me? There was never going to be an overtake opportunity into that corner. Did he just misbrake, outbrake
Check
himself?
your MFD for a new strategy option.
Now's not really the time to be doing that, Jeff, because I've got to focus on driving to a delta.
Got that confirmed. Virtual safety car is ending. Maintain your pace until the green flag. VSC ending. Wait for green.
So close to getting a drive-through penalty when that safety car is out, because I really do struggle to be able to match that delta. Leclerc's got past Bottas. Bottas had to take avoiding action to avoid running into the back of me, and Leclerc snuck through the gap. So that didn't work out for Bottas. Man, that Ferrari's quick. That Ferrari is quick. I know that because I'm using the same engine.
More. It's time to utilize some of this energy.
The Ferraris might actually pick up a win here today, because if they've got the straight line speed to match me, then they've got the aero and the chassis that's way better than mine. Obviously our car is very draggy, doesn't have a lot of downforce, so the Ferraris in that sense should be more than a match for us. And with the same engine and engine modes available, they should actually kind of breeze past me, I would have thought. These conditions make it tough for them though. Again, without the aid of DRS, they're going to struggle to get an overtake done on any of the main straights. Unless they get a really good slipstream. Or I run out of battery charge like I have just done. I've got no ERS, I can't defend.
Push hard on the in-lap.
I've run out of battery. Run out of battery. The Leclerc's taken off like a rocket now. We'll see how much I've been holding him up, holding everybody up, because now they've got clear air in front of them. He's already 1.5 seconds ahead. Jesus. So yeah, catching is one thing, passing is another. Although a lot of these cars are faster than me, they're not able to overtake. So they kind of get held up, and they just get held up. Once they actually get ahead, I can't catch them. So again, it always seems like we start up front and fall back in races rather than ever going forward in races. My only chances of going forward tend to be off the start, where I'm pretty quick. I'm pretty good at starting. Right, we're going to pit. We are pitting because Jeff told us this is our scheduled stop of our 2-stop programme. I'm starting to think that this might be a mistake. Because I'm fairly certain I could have gone longer on these tyres because they weren't very warm. These tyres weren't very warm, so I could have actually gone it longer.
Up to speed now. Let's get some heat into those tyres.
Yeah, because that's quite an early stop on the Inters. Lap 10. It's quite an early stop. I reckon I could have gone quite a lot more laps, actually. Because then they don't wear... I'm not wearing them out very quick. Because I tend to be quite kind on my tyres. You know, Schumacher's a bit of a tyre master. So he tends to look after his tyres pretty well and have good wear out of them. Despite being obviously very quick. So not only is he quick, but he doesn't destroy his tyres, which makes him even more of a headache for the other teams and other drivers. Because it's like the ultimate... If you can be quick and preserve your tyres, then that's obviously going to be very advantageous.
Roman is in for his stop.
Vettel all behind me, crawling all over the back of me. Everybody else is making their pit stops.
7.0 seconds.
We've got Alex Albon 10 seconds up the road. There's still quite a few cars that haven't pitted, which is obviously an good indicator that I totally pitted on the wrong lap. Should not have pitted when I did. Should have gone much longer.
Fuel target is +1. Faster engine modes are available.
And I'm trying to use them, Jeff. I'm not sure if Leclerc's pitted yet or not either. He's only 5 seconds ahead. May have pitted. Still quite a few cars that haven't though, because we're still down in ninth place still. Would tell me that there's a lot of cars that still haven't boxed.
Great work. That's a new fastest lap of the race.
I think I caught sight of Leclerc then in front of me. He might just be out here somewhere. There he is. Might be catching the Ferrari man. But then I mess up through that corner there, which gives him almost a second back in that one section. And I'm not going to be able to run Rich Mix for much longer, so any attempts to catch him will quickly disappear. Because I'm almost on target, back on normal fuel target, so I have to maximise this.
These conditions don't look like they're shifting. We're predicting at least 20 minutes of heavy rainfall.
That's going to carry on to the end of the race then. So there's no danger of us being on slicks. So Inter's all the way. Okay, Science has pitted. Quite a few cars have pitted. It's jumped us back up the table a bit. Alex Albon still hasn't pitted. So he's gone quite long. See, I've got a feeling my pit strategy was very wrong. Looking at the tyre wear, I think, yeah, very wrong. Because we could have been running still at this point on our original tyres. Which means we would have had quite a gap to some of these other cars who are being held up by these slower cars that are going long. Guys like Leclerc and Vettel would have been behind Giovinazzi and Sainz and Perez and people like that, which would have given me a chance to pull away, pull a gap. But I've also potentially then done a one-stopper, actually. By pitting later, it opens up the door to a one-stop, doesn't it? Which would then be very advantageous, because not having to stop twice would save me a bunch of time. Give us the option to maybe sneak in a better result.
Giovinazzi is stopping now.
As a Stroll and Albon and a few others. So now we're back up into our proper position. So Leclerc still leads, nearly 7 seconds ahead of me. Vettel is now starting to get very close behind me. Vettel suddenly just put on the charge from nowhere. Grosjean's there in 4th, so my teammate's kind of helping out a little bit with the points. Oh, Ferrari trying to dive bomb there. Don't do that, Vettel. If you know what's good for you, you will not try to dive bomb. And I've gone super deep. There's going to be a Ferrari on my right side.
2 laps until the pit window. You'll be on Inters for the next stint.
You know what, Jeff? That seems awfully short stinting. 2 laps, that's only what, lap 18? I think I'm going to make a decision here, a driver's decision, that second pit stop isn't needed. We're barely 20% worn on most of our tyres. Okay, the front left is a little bit higher wear, but it ain't worth pitting, Jeff, in 2 laps. I'm sorry. I think you've kind of stitched me up on the first pit stop by stopping far too early on the first stint. So I'm going to try and hang this out if I can. basically run these tyres till they actually fall off the cliff. Because if I box now, or in boxing 2 lap times, I'm still going to be in traffic, Jeff.
You're increasing the gap on the car behind by 0.5 per lap. Okay, clear.
Oh, that's wide. That was wide. But didn't get track limited. Ricardo is out of the session. Brilliant. So that's definitely a race where I extend my rivalry lead then. Danny Ricks had a car failure of some sort. Or some issue.
Be careful, we think you're going to start losing some tyre grip around now.
Flip in, Vettel. I've got no defence. When I haven't got any battery, if they've got battery, I'm a sitting duck. So it's clear for pure speed, we are not going to be beating the Ferraris on speed because they have got the better chassis and aero that I don't have. So they're quick round this circuit. A lot quick. They're quicker than me in race trim. Might not be quicker than me in quali trim. But in the race,
let's box this lap.
They are better than me. So, yes, I'm making the executive decision. I'm sorry, Jeff. I am not boxing this lap. I'm going to go as long as I can on these tyres. Because our only hope of winning this race, and yes, I'm talking about winning the race, is to do a different strategy to these guys. These guys are probably going to pit again. They're definitely two-stopping. So as long as I can kind of stay with them, I can get ahead of them when they box. And then just hope they don't catch me towards the end of the race when they're on fresher tyres. So, yep, I am committing myself to taking these tyres 17 laps. That's not going to be ideal, but it's the only way I can see us taking victory here. Vettel's actually gone into the pit, so Vettel's making his second stop now, which is the same lap that Jeff wanted me to box on. So Vettel's on the same strategy as me, or was on the same strategy as me until I've just changed it and decided that I'm going to the end on these, or going to try to go to the end on these tyres. So I imagine Leclerc will box within the next lap or two, and then that will give me the lead over him, providing I can keep that gap. I mean, 10 seconds, he's got quite a gap. I mean, it's not a pit window, but it's a good gap he's built up. Although, to be fair, I am just having a couple of laps here where I'm just charging up the battery, because I noticed I wasn't using any overtake mode down either of those two straights. Leclerc's boxed this lap then, so yeah, he's pitted. So now I've got to go. If I want to leapfrog him, Now's the time to do it. While he's stationary. Grosjean is also boxing this lap.
Green flag. We're leading our teammate by 4.9 seconds.
Leclerc's come out behind Perez, which is not going to do Leclerc a lot of favours, because Perez will hold him up. So that's helping me. So we've had basically a 20-second swing
Some
there.
information on Stroll. It looks like the problem is terminal. They're retiring the car.
We've had a 20-second swing. Because Leclerc was 10 seconds ahead of me. He's now 10 seconds behind me. So he's lost a lot of time in that pit stop. And Perez is holding him up. So now's the chance for me. 7 laps to go. On a half-worn set of intermediates. Let's try it, come on. Let's see if we can get to the end. It's the left front that's going to worry me the most.
Be aware, there's an incident in the next part of the track. No overtaking through the yellow flags.
There's Stroll's pink Mercedes parked on the left-hand side of the track. Obviously mechanical failure for Stroll. Probably an engine. Engines tend to go a lot in these races. Especially if you're in traffic, getting all that hot, dirty air off the back of another car. Still got the 10-second gap to Leclerc. Perez is doing his job at the minute of holding him up. Once Perez pits though, Leclerc will be unleashed to chase me down. But he's running out of laps.
We have 5 laps of fuel remaining.
Leclerc's got past Perez. He's overtaking him. Which now means Leclerc is free to start chasing after me. And that's not going to help me being so out of position and slow through that final corner. main thing is the lap counter is still ticking. Lap 23 of 27 now. Bottas is setting a lot of fastest laps. Billy Bottas is on a charge. He's been quite out of position in this race since his pit stop. He's been trafficked. He's been stuck in traffic. Been like all the other guys that have pitted early, doing the two-stopper. The pit crew's still stood in the pits going, where is he? Why hasn't he come in yet? We expected him in like 6 laps ago. Like, yeah, I've ignored you, Jeff. I've gone radio silent. I'm deciding my own strategy is better than the team's.
There's 4 laps of fuel remaining.
Good, because there's only 4 laps of the race left yet. Gap to Leclerc is 8 seconds. No tenths. I think I killed a
Those
traffic
tyres are
cone.
going to fall off the cliff soon. Take extreme care.
Oh, we're up to 70% on the front left. Can I get this set of tyres to the end of the race? Have we got enough?
Okay, the car behind is catching you by 5/10 a lap. 5/10.
Gap's down to 7 seconds. With 3 laps to go.
We've only
got, what, 3 laps of fuel left, Jeff? Be nice if you finish your sentences. It would seem that Leclerc is catching me by about a second a lap. But that's not going to be good enough.
This is your final lap of the race.
Final lap. Final lap. Leclerc has boxed. He's 4 seconds behind me. He's not going to catch me unless I do something stupid. Carlos Sainz could be picking up a podium here for McLaren. That'd be nice. So Vettel's strategy of boxing when I was going to box hasn't worked for him because he's been stuck behind all the traffic. So I'm pleased I didn't follow Jeff's decision to pit because it would have put us well down the field. Because obviously Sainz, Perez, Raikkonen, etc. have all one-stopped, like me. And I'm amazed I managed to do 17 laps on that set of tyres. 17 laps on that set of Inters.
Haas pulling out
Gunther is
all the
very
stops
happy
today.
again.
A great win. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
It's a heroic effort for any driver to race in conditions like these, and seeing them fight their way to the front was very special indeed. They were able to find all the grip, all the good lines, and had the confidence to get on the power to top it all off. That's what pushed them into
Ninth for
first place here
Vettel,
today.
see? We would have been about 10th then had we
The quality
followed.
and fantastic result of the Haas team will have been noticed by everyone else out there today. You can see why everyone's taking them so seriously. These drivers will be hot property by the end of the season. Let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. Schumacher takes over the
Leclerc got
lead
fastest
of the
lap.
Drivers' Championship. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
But it's absolutely got to be Alexander Albon, no hesitation. He put in a performance today that's only going to build further
Started
upon his already growing
20th, finished
reputation.
6th. Good
Let's
drive
move
from
on to the
Albon.
constructors. Ferrari take the lead
DNS
at the
for
top of the
Verstappen,
table. It was also a
Hamilton,
strong Grand Prix
Ricciardo,
from Haas F1 this weekend.
Stroll.
Fantastic work from the American team to move themselves further up the table. Well, that
And
was
like I
certainly
say,
an
Vettel,
incredible weekend of racing.
two stopping,
Be sure to join
did not
myself
help
and
him
Ant for more exciting Formula
at
1
all.
action soon.
So yeah, terminal damage for Verstappen and Hamilton. Mechanical failure for Stroll. Noticeably, Ricciardo's not on here. He kind of retired and didn't even get to make it onto the list. But he did retire with a mechanical failure. But yeah, Vettel, he got stuck behind Lando Norris, who one-stopped. That's probably why then. Okay, poor old. But hey, we're topping You know, driver standings, I'm top of the Drivers' Championship now. That's due to some inconsistent performances from some of the other teams, though, I would say.
Your team must be ecstatic with how you're performing. How did your team respond to the poor conditions today? It's your teammates' home Grand Prix. Do you think they enjoyed themselves out there today?
Not as much as I enjoyed myself. I'm going to take that one away from him.
Well, that's everything.
That's everything. That's everything. So, yeah, we crushed Danny Rick in the rivalry. I don't think he should get a point for penalty free either, because he didn't finish the race. If you don't finish, you shouldn't get any points. But I reckon there's 4 races to go in that rivalry. I reckon I can have him done and dusted in 2. I reckon I can have him done and dusted in 2 races, and we can move on. Right, we've got some new bits, I think that said. Some new bits. We can't really build anything else before the Austrian race because we are sadly going to be not having any time. I'm just having a look at the drivers' standings now, DNFs and stuff. I'm wondering who's been... Bottas has been very unlucky. Look, 1, 2, 3. He's had 4 DNFs. There's not many drivers who have finished every race. Norris has finished every race. As has Giovinazzi. As has George Russell. So there's only a couple of drivers. I've finished every race so far. Lewis has had 3 DNFs. Vettel's had 3. Leclerc's had 2. Yeah, Billy Bottas, 4 DNFs is not helping him out at all. And I can see why Mercedes are maybe looking at replacing him. Not to say that I'm taking a Mercedes drive, because I have a job to do here with Haas Racing that I want to do. So be sure to join me for the next race, which will be the Austrian Grand Prix. I'll see you then, folks. Goodbye for now.